Welcome back to Passing Time with Craig. As always, I'm your host, Craig. And today we're talking Calgary Fringe Fest. That's right, the Calgary Fringe Fest is happening Friday, July 31st to August 8th. It is a great time. If you've never been to a Fringe show or the Fringe Fest, you need to check it out. A bunch of amazing performers from Calgary, Canada, and around the world come to watch these 60-minute shows, something completely different. Happening with all these things. And I have one of my guests today, not one of my guests today, my guest today, Marysia Trembecka, new show, Celine and Cher, The Divine Divas. So I saw this. I was like, I can't wait to see the show and I need to talk to her. So I'm very excited to chat with her today. We're going to talk about how she got into Fringe shows. She's currently doing a tour across Canada. When we're talking to her, she's in Toronto. She's going to make her way out here. So we're going to talk about the joys of being in Fringe, how she got into it. And of course, we're going to talk about Celine Dion and Cher, why she chose those two divas and icons and why they're so iconic. So it was such a great time chatting with her. So please enjoy my conversation with the wonderful Marysia. All right, well, let's dive in. I am so thankful for you taking the time as you're touring around right now. You're currently in Toronto with your new show, Celine and Cher, Divine Divas, and I am so excited about this show. As I was just saying before we started, when I saw it, I was like, I can't wait for it. I was telling my friend about it the other day. I was like, "You're coming with me?" She's like, "Oh, 100%. That sounds amazing." So before we get to this new show, I want to just start with like you're 20 years ago you had this other show that the singing psychic game show that like
10 years ago, actually. 10 years ago. I've done cabaret now for like 20 years. 20 years ago was my very first Edinburgh Fringe show,
right.
which was called Marisha's Slightly Bitter and Twisted Lessons in Love. And I took a band up because I'm a musician and I used to play bass and I sing. I took a jazz band up. And I remember one night we were completely sold out, which is quite hard to do when you're a newbie in Edinburgh. And I realised it was just full of very young like teenage boys and a few girls looking increasingly uncomfortable because my show was not what they thought it was going to be. Since then, I realised your show title and your poster and the show kind of have to look like the more explanatory they are about what they are, the better, because otherwise it confuses people.
It definitely can. So what got you into cabaret? Like I love it and I'm so glad that there's still fringe festivals that are still well known throughout the world. People are still is attracting crowds, but what got you into cabaret and performing?
So I've always been very into the art, act, sang, dance, played instruments. But then I'm super mathematical, and I ended up my first kind of career post university in London was like a bond dealer in the city. Think Wall Street. That's what I did for 5 years. I think I just got a thing about adrenaline. And after about 5 years, it's like, okay, I'm bored now. I'm very good at making up stuff.
Yeah.
I was making very good money. I'd been headhunted by, I used to work for HSBC, literally yelling buy, sell and talking macroeconomic stuff about government bonds. And I just went, I got headhunted by an American company for even more money. And I just thought, I can't, this is not where I'm at in my life kind of thing.
Yeah.
I need to express. So I kind of semi-retired, went to ladies and studying, and then have studied and acted. And then I started running cabaret shows where I would host and sing with a band and have lots of very cool acts on a boat in London. And people kind of liked the chat more than the singing, which was a bit of an issue.
Yeah.
I have since worked, I've spent many hours and many times working on the singing and musicianship. So I ended up doing a stand-up comedy course, a beginner's one. And in fact, I'm still friends with a few of those people from that comedy course. We still get together. We just had our 20-year anniversary. So I started writing comedy meets song meets my aspect of life. So I've written lots of shows over the years and I've acted, and I do Cannes Film Festival every year. But yeah, my real love is these tale telling and interactivity and chat with the audience. And although this current show, there's less of that than most, but still I'm very much, I like an audience reaction, and I like to tell a story, and I use whatever means necessary, which can mean new instruments I can't play. It can mean lots of things.
What like what makes a good storyteller in your mind? I mean, you've been doing this for a while. Um, there's some people who have not been successful. They try out a show and there was some missing connection to storytelling. Is there something that you found really works for you, or what makes a good storyteller?
Well, I think we all have our own style, so I think understanding what that
Right.
is something. And in terms of people trying and failing, I think we all do try and fail, and the work is never finished. So I've had shows that have like been deemed more successful in some ways than others. Um, Even with this, I'm very much tuning it and changing it as I go, because it's a very new show. I wrote it for Canada. Um, but I don't think anyone ever fails unless they stop trying. And I
Yeah.
think that if you have a story and a voice that's worth passing on, if it's your voice of your own experience, because obviously there's lots of marginalized voices in the world of every description, or if you have, or it's, and equally storytelling is also universal, right?
Mhm.
Because we all have the same stories. So love, loves, want, what we got, what we didn't get. And obviously everyone has different pains and cultures, and growing up in places where people wanted you to be something other, whether it's sexuality or gender or color or whatever. So yeah, so I think storytelling is as big as or small as you want to make it. It can be, because we've told stories to each other as long as there's been humans.
Yeah.
Before voice, before we language, we probably did it with sound, right? Like noisy squeaks, screams, hums,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We probably sang, I should imagine, before we spoke.
Yeah, and we love stories. I mean, little kids learn stories so quickly. They love them. Or they're coming up with stories. Like, I chat with some of my nieces and nephews when they're like super young, and I'm just like, I say to my siblings, like, where did they come up with this? And they're like, we have no idea where this came from. Like,
Yeah. It's yeah, with my nephew's and niece, I during COVID, I actually kind of went out of London because I hadn't stopped touring, obviously, and spent a lot more time than I would have. And every day, there was a story, and I'm a good storyteller. People pay me to tell stories, so I feel they had world class. Well, maybe not. Award-winning storytellers. But the great thing is getting them to tell me the characters, that we all advance the stories together.
yeah.
For me, that's my interest. But there's some amazing. I so enjoy being in. I did four lots of the fringes last year in Canada, and I've done Montreal Fringe twice previously. First time in 2008, actually. And I think you just learn to really appreciate with fringe. There's so much amazing work, and people have such amazing shows and focus, and I kind of can't help myself almost see. This week I haven't seen any shows yet, just because I'm trying to get my new show like really embedded in what I'm doing. But certainly by the time I get to Edmonton, I'll be seeing 3 or 4 other shows a day,
Yeah.
kind of thing, once I know what I'm doing.
So what is that one of your favorite aspects of touring and being part of Fringe, is that you can meet other artists and see other shows and see what other people are doing? Because as you mentioned before we started chatting about how busy you can get when you're working on a show, and you're so focused on it because you want to make it the best you can be. So you kind of have to wash away everything else, and you don't get to go see what everybody else is doing because you're so busy. But now you get the chance to see other performers and talk to other people and watch shows.
Yeah, I love it. And in fact, I did Montreal Fringes of Dead in 2008, and I met a lovely other artist, and I hadn't seen her. We were in the same billet in 2008, and we were both in Winnipeg last year,
Oh,
and
really?
Saskatoon, and we hadn't seen each other for like 17 years. It was quite a, and she's still doing her work. She's amazing, Penny Ashton, and I'm still, and she lives in New Zealand. I still do my work. We both change and progress, and but yeah, it's just nice to see. And then I've met so many other supportive artists also on the journey, who are like, "Oh, have you thought about this? Have you done that?" So there's quite a community of this, because we know, because you have every venue different. You can have a little tech issue.
Hmm.
There can be a miscommunication. There can be, you've got all these things you want to do, and you have a 3-hour tech, and there's lots of things that can. We always have to. The fun thing about this fridge is you have to find your own furniture. They don't even supply you with chairs and chairs and tables.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so as touring artists, we're all like, who's in my venue? I've never had this before. Who's in my venue? Has anyone got a chair or a table? Because my show last year, the Singing Psychic game show that I've toured for 10 years, that has a lot of tables because it's props, because of it's got a lot of games.
Yeah.
So I've got less this time. I've deliberately had a lot less props in this show because the pain of torture of trying to smuggle them on the airlines, praying to the gods and goddesses of cabaret that I am under 23 kilo weight is it was stressful.
Yeah, I mean it is not cheap to fly anywhere anymore. You feel like you're paying $100 just for like the smallest like handbag is allowed. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And there's some shows, I know there's a show, I met them in Saskatoon, they're going to Winnipeg, and they travel with old-fashioned projectors.
Oh wow. Oh.
I mean, it's incredible. Mind of us now, they're amazing. They're amazing. But you're like, I'm like, you are literally traveling with projectors onto planes.
Yeah, that's and things that you can't afford to lose for multiple reasons.
Get damaged, right? You're
Yeah.
like, what? Whereas large, because my singing psychic character is, she reads the songs in people's heart, and she's the sister of my new character, the Oracle of Celine and Cher. But I'd actually, for my singing psychic character, because I toured it for 10 years, it's got very developed. And I'd even made my own 8-foot wheel of fortune in London.
Wow.
Yeah, like part made of mahogany with cycling ball bearings. It's huge. You cannot drag that across the ocean.
No, no.
So I ended up well, my art director, Martin Butterworth, who's amazing, he does all my artwork and helps me. Well, he made my dresses. He helps me do the character. He does the posters. He made me a parasol of prophecy. So it was basically a Japanese umbrella, the paper.
Oh yeah,
umbrella.
yeah.
And we could spray paint it and make it look like a wheel of fortune, and then I could stick things on. But of course, if I with Velcro, if I turned it too quick, the cards would fly off. But I mean, it's a game show. It's a game show.
Yeah, and you're like, it's part of the show. It's fun, you know.
Yeah. I know it is interesting.
So does having taking the like stand-up comic classes, that must be very helpful as a performer doing this show that's like touring around, because as you kind of mentioned, sometimes you're tweaking or adapting, and like how much do you play off of the audience, like, because I mean it's the same thing as stand-up comic. You do a set and people, it freaking kills, the audience is dying from moment one. Do you do the exact same set, the same location, completely different crowd the next night, and it's like kind of silent, people aren't really doing it?
Well, I'm all about improv, but in my head there's kind of two kinds of comics or artists maybe. There are the ones who know exactly what they're doing, when, where, and how, and they've worked out, if I say this word before this word, I'll get more laughs. And often those shows can be funnier because they are very strict. They've been honed. Yeah. So someone like, say, Joan Rivers famously would go out every night and record everything she did and would think, oh, I've got a laugh here. And that, I completely respect those kind of comics. I am at the other side. I'm more of the, I don't know if you know Ross Noble. He's a very fantastic British comic who's very goes on wild flights of fantasies, and he's incredible at improv. For me, that's the exciting thing. Me and the audience, that I always be at that side. Having said that, though, this current show, Celine and Cher, Divine Divas, is probably the most scripted thing I've done in years, because my last show is a game show, so it's all about the audience. I just got games and we figure the rest out, and that's what I'm best at, chatting with the audience. And getting them on stage. Whereas this one, I was like, no, I realized when I started building it that I had 4 elements, which were, I can talk you through them if you want. I had all the research I did into Celine and Cher. Yeah. I've read everything they've written, watched loads of interviews. There was the whole, how much of the elements of their stories do I want to tell in this show? Mm-hmm. There was the songs. They've released over 1,000 songs between them. So how do you pick? And even I did an early run and everyone's like, why haven't you got this song in? So I had to swap my favourite Cher, which is You Haven't Seen the Last of Me from Burlesque. And it's her favourite song like it's the song that in her memoir it's the only one she quotes the lyrics at the beginning of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, no, not many people know that. Whereas they're like, why haven't you got it's in his Kiss song? I was like, oh, give me a second.
Yeah.
So I went, okay. So there's the kind of the songs. I've had to really work on the music side because I sing and I sing well, and I've done a lot of singing. I've sang in 18 different languages at Royal Festival Hall in England.
Wow.
But Celine and Cher have very, very different voices, and they're very, in their own way, very unique. And I'm not trying to parody them. I'm trying to I am the oracle of the sisterhood of these fabulous women. So I'm not, definitely not going to try to do a bad version of them. And in fact, I joked that Celine Dion has banned me from singing My Heart Will Go On in the show. So, yeah. So I've got the Celine and Cher bits. I've got the music side,
Yeah.
which I'll come back to. Then I've got the comedy aspect because some fringes do not have cabaret as a section. So I ended up putting it in some sections as comedy. Then I thought, oh my goodness, is it funny enough? So I had to write loads of comedy.
Yeah.
And then of course I've got who is this character telling the story, because the whole joy of my other shows, I've got a couple of other touring shows, one of which has got an F word in the title, but it's relevant. It's Queen of the F World, which was art stands put in England and about sexual politics, and it's very kind of about how women in the LGBTQI plus community have been marginalised over the world over centuries. So that's a very much more serious bit of cabaret, that one. But I'm like, these women, who is this person telling the story kind of thing, especially because I always knew from the off that the Oracle is the sister of the singing psychic, so I've got that canon to draw in, but I'm not trying to do her show. So and then so it's like, how you've got 60 minutes, so how do you do the best bit and sort of the story and life of Celine and Cher is quite difficult, right? So you don't want to be depressing, you want to make people to leave. I want them to be happy, having loved it, having it's single on chorus, but I want them to have learned something. I've got the power moves. So it's been a real, and I think I've got the balance right now, but it might shift a bit. It's been a conversation for myself about what I think works and doesn't. And then I added a brand new instrument in that I'd never played in about a month ago. It's called a omnichord.
Don't know.
I'll play for you some in a minute if you want.
Yeah.
I could do it. I've got it here. It's basically looks like. Well, I say it's gifted me down to me when I was anointed the Oracle down centuries, a bit like a pickle recipe. It's like a 1980s electric harp meets guitar meets piano thing with lots of buttons, and it randomly does stuff. I've got no idea what it's doing. I've literally been playing it for 2 months. I'm a jazz bass player. I also play guitar, but this was also a lot easier to take on planes, right? Because it doesn't have a neck you can break up like on the guitar. So, and I've taught myself musical saw, double bass, accordion for things. So I always knew I'd get some sound out of it.
Yeah.
But it will randomly make weird noises for no good reasons. Yeah. And then it was a case of what songs am I singing on this and what's backing track.
Right.
So, and the interesting thing is, it's my show. I'm trying to do the best I can for the audience and to tell a story and have them leave and go, oh, that was really fun. And I'll get some lovely feedback. But it's I'm the only arbiter of that. Mm-hmm. I've had people look at the show. I haven't a director as such, but I've had a few people look at it from the outside and go, and then I've taken it. I did some runs in, like little previews in London, and got feedback. What do you like? What you don't like? But how do I know if it's the perfect version when it's not true, right?
Right. So,
but there isn't that much audience. It's sing along deliberately.
Yeah.
And then there's some bits of audience interaction, but it's not as much as I'd normally have. So.
Well, I'm very interested too because, I mean, you've chosen two of the most iconic divas, performers, queer icons, just entertainers in the world. What made you was this one of those things you woke up one day and you said Cher and Celine, or did you do Cher, or did you go Celine and then you went, what if I did them together? Where did the Cher and Celine of it all come to you for the show?
The Celine bit became because when I was touring last year, singing like a game show across Canada, I have a game in it called the Singing Psychic Bingo, which I have been playing since 2017. I could never get it to quite work. And I tried over 8 weeks of touring last year. I tried a million ways because when you've got 300 people in the room or 200, it's quite hard to have bingo cards.
Yeah.
And it's a short game. So, but what I did know is I only had, I bought a very small bingo ball thing from the UK and I wrote only Canadian artists. It was Canadian Psychic Bingo.
Yeah.
That bit I knew. But every time the Celine Dion ball came out of the thing, I got them to play Baby Baby and I Touch You Like This, and every time they just off they went.
Yeah.
They just sang, and I'd sing along. And the whole point of the thing is like she's also got spirit guides, Edith Piaf, who loves young men, and Maria Callas, who really doesn't like men.
Yeah.
All singing like it's singing. So someone came off afterwards and said you were really channeling Celine. So that's when the Celine thing came.
Okay.
But then Cher, it's briefly in the show actually. I'd split up with someone I was very much in love with, and I didn't realise it, but they were going through various issues which I was unaware of. So I was supposed to be abroad with them in Sri Lanka. And I got woken up that morning at 6 a.m. By a text by them by a giant tuna fish, as you do, basically kind of saying, oh, and I was supposed to be there. And anyway, it was not a great ending to what had been a very big love affair of my life. And I went out, there's a club in London called Frida in Soho. It's if you ever go to London, LGBT club, very mixed, but very much a gay club.
Yeah.
And I knew the dancing downstairs amazing. The DJ is fantastic on a Friday night. So I was with a friend of mine upstairs, like bemoaning my fate, going, well, we're going to have it. We're going to dance this off, babe. I'd had some cornstarch martinis. And then as I walked downstairs to where the club bit is downstairs, I got Cher singing up the thing. Was she worth it? You know, like strong enough.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, the DJ so got me here. And a bit later did a remix of something else that our favourite tune between us, and he mixed it with Thriller. And I just went, oh. So that was my moment. I went, no, because I've always loved Cher. And obviously I completely respect Celine.
Yeah.
But I've just gone, and there's such different women.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, I don't want to just do one, because there's some amazing divas out there. And they're not all female, right?
Yeah.
You could do Freddie Mercury as a divine diva. You could do... So it was more a case of I wanted to do Celine, but then I started reading about their lives, and I was like, these women are just fascinating the more you go into them. Particularly, I knew in many ways far more about Celine's life than I did Cher's, to be honest. So.
Yeah, I always... There are two people that are... I mean, Cher is Cher. Even Celine Dion, we say Celine, everybody knows who you're talking about. And it's these two people in this world that everybody has an opinion on and thoughts of. But then you start doing research. I know I've chatted with people before and they're like, somebody says, oh, did you know this about Celine? And be like, wait, what? Really? Like, there's so much there that we don't know. So that's what's kind of fun about the idea of the show, that it's like, we're going in, I know who she is, I know who they are. And then, oh, what's this?
Yeah. And that was the hard bit. I've done 6 months of research, literally. It's the songs and the music and their lives and watching things. And I'm still was going, how is it all getting into 60 minutes? And how does it not become depressing, which I don't want?
Yeah.
Right. So, because I want people to like sing along and have joy. Even now, I'm still going, maybe I need to switch the last two songs around, positions around. I'm still, but I'm loving, I'm having a new instrument to play as well, because it's quite interesting because it's got those weird buttons so you can make it sound like a harp or a piano or like weird sound. Even playing some of the classics on there, I'm like, oh, this is ridiculous. Like, I get to play Strong Enough. I do the opening of Strong Enough, you know, I don't need your sympathy.
Yeah.
And I get to play almost like a rock guitar and this dodgy standing. I've got an organ effect, and I'm feeling like I'm rocking out, and there's a wind machine. They're amazing songs as well. Because that's kind of the premise of the show, is that storytelling, parables, you know, the word parable is in the show. So the word parable comes from the ancient Greek word parabola, meaning to throw alongside. So Aristotle, 330 to 360 BC, actually wrote a book called The Art of Rhetoric, where he talked about how you speak. And in it, he said, if you're going to express a divine or moral truth, use a parable, throw alongside a familiar human story. So my whole premise is that these amazing songs of Celine and Cher are all lessons for us to live by. So that's really what I ended up pinning the show on, is what does this show say about me? We've all got drunk and sang all by myself, right?
Oh, 100%.
Right? And obviously that's in there. But it's like, what do these songs, what can they tell us about our lives, generally, universally? And actually, this last week, I've had people come up and weirdly, I didn't expect this, people coming up to me and going, oh, you really look somehow at the pain and how we get through it and how we all, because I'm all by myself, I'm like, give me some pain, right?
Yeah.
So I'm having some really beautiful feedback that way.
That's awesome. And now talk to me about your character. Who is she? How is she connected to you? Is she very different than you? Is she similar? Is it and you mentioned, she's sister to your other character, the singing psychic. So tell me about this character and making her different than the singing psychic as well.
Well, I create characters. I think I'm more interested in character comedy than straight comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And these characters kind of appear. So the singing psychic was hanging around for many years, and when I was working on her, I was doing a workshop on like character devisation, and another character popped up who later became my queen character, and she was so fierce everyone went, oh. But I didn't really know. I had to kind of say to her, you need to go away because I need to get the singing psychic show on her feet. This one's been interesting because I had the premise first of the Celine and Cher Divine Diva before I had the character, as normally I've come at it from character perspective. So this was really a new way in for me. And so I was looking at it going, there's something really interesting about, she's in the singing psychic territory. She's telling the world about the truths, but only from Celine Dion and Cher songs, not unlike the singing psychic who has her own tarot card of pop songs, the whole thing. So I'm like, is she the singing psychic? I'm like, no, something was telling me she was not. And then, of course, in the singing psychic show, both the original show and the singing psychic game show, the first show was Coming of Age, she talks about her sister in the show. So I was like, of course, she's the singing psychic sister. Because I in the original show I wrote 11 years ago now, 2015, she's like, oh, because it's like I could never settle down. She was not like her sister who her dad was so proud of, who went to university and got met and married a doctor. So I'm like, of course, that's who she is.
Yeah.
But then I had to pull apart the strands of that, because of course the gift of reading songs comes down the maternal line.
Yeah.
Because our mother, she does it with poetry. All of this is in the other show, but I like the fact I've got this entire canon of universe behind me. Because it made sense. Because like she's not the singing psychic, but it's so in the world. And I went, of course, I don't know, but she's been telling me, and that's what this last week's been interesting because I've been doing these stories about what these songs mean to me.
Mm-hmm.
As the character, I just added it back in 2 lines at what every song means, and somehow it's created this character arc I just didn't see come this week. Wow. Where people are, after every show, have been stopping me and telling me about relationships they've had to get through and have been difficult, and now they're so much better. Like every show I've had it, which this was not the plan. I thought they'd all just run out singing strong enough.
Yeah.
But they didn't. So none of them. So she's the Oracle, singing psychic, Queen's Queen. I can't name them. Like there's very early. I don't know if you've seen it. I think Andy Warhol. There's like a very early drag race. It's not called prom. It's in the 60s. There was basically what would have been called a drag race, but in the 1960s. So you've got these drag queens being amazing and fabulous, and they're all doing like a competition, right?
Yeah.
And of course, it's filmed in the 60s. It's an incredible piece. It's a documentary. It's incredible if you haven't seen it. Try and see it.
Yeah.
And because I very much live in that kind of world of that. And the host, the drag queen host, was asked, "Oh, what do I call you?" And they were like, "Well, when I'm in drag, I'm this, and when I'm not in drag, I'm this." And it's interesting because I get it. I do the me, not me.
Yeah.
I am them, but there's something separate to me. It sounds a bit weird. And in fact, I'm doing the Toronto got a drag act thing tonight. I'm going to do it because I'm definitely a bio queen.
Yeah.
But I'm aware these characters are me, not me. Of course, they've got elements of me in. But on my first show here at Toronto, someone came up afterwards and said, "Oh, the relationship, is that you? Is that the character?" And I'm like, it's kind of yes and both and no. Because how you know?
Yeah. Well, it's the whole, going back to kind of earlier, like storytelling and connecting, um, or being a comic and telling a story, and you're like, you want to put enough of yourself in there to make it feel real, but you don't want to just completely like make it so it's hard for people to relate. It's that whole like, it's weirdly enough, I guess it would be going to look at a house to buy. There should be furniture. It should look up like, but you can't have too much of it because they say like, if there's just framed photos of your family up, people can't see themselves in that house.
Oh, nice analogy. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Are you big into real estate?
No. I don't, I have a friend who's looking for a new house right now. So, and another friend who's like a mortgage underwriter. So I think that's why
There
that
we
just
are.
came to my head. I was like, because I nodded. I don't know where that came from.
No, but you've just demonstrated the character. You know what I mean? Your thought processes are you're taking on other people's stories, right? And that's perfectly beautiful. I love the analogy. Yeah. Yes, I had never thought that, and it's actually a very wonderful analogy. Yeah, because there were so many songs I wanted to do. You can't do them all. You know what I mean? And some of these songs are really difficult to sing.
Oh yeah.
And I love them. So you're in that place of but I've really worked. I've got an incredible singing teacher, but I mean, I think I tried singing "It's All Coming Back to Me" now in about all 12 keys. I've got like a pretty big like range voice, but my voice is in their voices. So, but as it is, it's always the one that gets shrunk because it's at the end, and I'm trying to go. Oh, I've only got 60 minutes. So, but it's so wonderful being on. You get to meet people, and I love the fact. So, I've just had. So I've now said, if like it happened first on my show the other day, that everyone leaves with their own Celine Dion or Cher song for the month because I've just been doing the show and then I have an excuse to talk to the audience as they leave, which I realised I didn't like, because at the end of the singing psychic show, I have my own Tarot deck of pop song, so everyone leaves with their own card for the month. And I went, well, hang on, she's the sister; she can copy the moves.
Yeah,
it's probably going to. And so I've had some oracle cards made. So everyone leaves with either they're all random. They can take their card and then they can Instagram me with their card of the month if they want to know what it is. And actually, I've said that someone at the end of the tour, I'll give everyone like a DM of what that card means for them personally. But at the tour, someone at the end will get some merch as well. But yeah, it's just been interesting because I just want to speak to the audience. I don't like the fact that I'm on stage and they're just walking off.
Yeah.
I just need that connection at the end because, again, it's story.
Yeah. Was there a song from both of them that when you started going through the list of songs that you were like, was there one from each of them that you were like, this has to be in my show? Like, without any questions, like, I need to have this in my show.
Well, all coming back to me because it was what inspired it last year, the way everyone just loved it. And in fact, if we run out of time, I've got a separate queue and I tell my tech to go to the baby, if I touch you like this bit, because it's a very long intro.
Yeah.
The room has to sing baby, if I touch you like this. And I think we showed, well, there's a strong enough song, which of course is what inspired her, but also I've now taken it out, but you haven't heard The Last of Me. It's incredible. I'm sure you do know it, but some people don't. But I met someone the other day, and you haven't she actually had, you haven't seen the last three, had a tattoo on her wrist.
Oh, really?
So I hate the fact of taking it out, but it is literally feeling broken, barely holding on.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm down, but I'll get up again. Don't count me out just yet. I'm brought down to my knees, and it's just, and for me, that is like the life of an artist, because you have the life of all of us, really. But for me, and it's also the song that she opened the memoir at. So she's written a two-part memoir. Cher has only the first one's been released, and every chapter's a song title, but they're not all her songs. She's got Because You Love Me by Celine, which I love, but then she's also got I Will Always Love You, I Got You, Babe.
Yeah.
But then she's, as I said at the beginning, she's got the lyrics to I haven't seen the last of me. I just think it's beautiful, because it's very much, especially the more you know about Cher's life, that she keeps on going, and we all have to keep redefining ourselves. And that's kind of what my show's about. That when you have loss and things happen, we've got to get up and become a divine diva. This is this idea of Celine Cher divine diva-ness, because Cher makes her own diva pasta sauce.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we are. So, and I just said, to be honest, let us all, whatever we do, this is a diva cup of coffee, right? Let's make our entire life that, yeah, we know we're going to go through things, but as long as you're going with the right attitude and respect, and also for yourself and others and all that stuff, then next every day go, what does being a divine diva look like today? Whether you're singing, do you believe in life after love or not, right? How do we all get up every day and go, let's make today a better day for myself and others than it was yesterday? So, which is why we're artists, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm so excited for the show. And it'll be interesting too, as you're talking about these songs, and that maybe some people aren't going to be like, there's the ones everybody knows, but they have such a rich catalog, as you mentioned. Like I host Name That Tune, and I only give 10-second clips of songs. But you get a point for song title, and you get a point for the band or artist. And there's some people that I will play, and they'll get that voice right away. They'll be like, oh, it's Cher. And they'll like, but wait, what song is this? And so it's interesting that there's these ones. And some of these, I'm not like going completely deep cut. Like some of these made Billboard top like 10, like were big hits, but people just don't know them all as well. So I think that's what's going to be very interesting about your show.
Yeah, yes. Well, as I said, I didn't put the sheep song in, and I got kicked. Why is it in there? I was like, oh, for God's sake. I've made it a small sing back, because yeah, I mean, this incredible catalogue, and also the stories behind them. But I just had to go, I've got 60 minutes and I want character, and I need some kind of comedy in there. I could have just sang the songs, but I just went, people believe, going, oh, I didn't know that about that. But also I want people to kind of feel a bit more passionately. But as I said, the weird thing is they're all coming out going, God, these women have been through quite a lot.
Yeah.
There's and yet they're still there being, like Celine with her illness, with the stiff person syndrome illness, like obviously having lost her husband and her brother, and you go, wow, these women have really they're still going, right?
Yeah.
Celine's back on tour. Cher just turned 80. Dating a much fabulously younger man, and had a Christmas #1 like queen. These are queens, right? So I'm like, we can only ever. There's something in the spirit of that, of being and sometimes being misunderstood and what you do. And I just went, yeah, we all just have to understand that life is. Well, I guess we know life's hard, but how do we all pick ourselves up? And I think for lots of us, it's music, right?
Yeah. And I think that's what I'm so excited about, because, the world is not the warmest place at the moment. I mean, temperature wise, it's very warm, but it's, there's some scary stuff going on in the world. We mentioned marginalized communities and maybe not being as welcomed or accepted as they should be. And so it's nice to see these shows, get reminded about some incredible artists who have had to fight, or just been like, this is who I am, and have had this lasting power. So I think that's what's super exciting. What else do you want people to know about this show as we start to wrap up here?
Well, I think we've covered quite a lot, really. I think come and sing along and have some joy.
Yeah.
But I said unexpected. unexpected twist, which I didn't expect for my own show. It's got it turned out to have a real heart to it.
Yeah.
It's not just a collection of songs. It's something I've spent literally 20 years becoming the artist who can deliver it. I remember in 2006 I was in Edinburgh and I saw a New York drag artist called Taylor Mack. I don't know if you've heard of
Oh
him.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. And they were doing this very funny thing where they were, I'll leave it to imagination what they were doing. They had a white sheet on stage and they were pretending they were in bed and it was on their own and they were thinking thoughts of people that made them happy.
Yeah.
And but it went from being very funny, like the litany of all the hot policemen, like
Yeah.
la, 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 to this person's name kept coming up, and then you realise after a while this person's name was no longer with us, and it went from such beautiful comedy to much sadness, and then he managed somehow to bring us back to life and joy. And I remember thinking, and this was 20 years ago, I just thought a real cabaret artist, in my opinion, has that ability to take people on the journey from up to down and up. And I couldn't do it then. And I don't think I could really do it till about in my Queen show. I shouldn't say, I think I managed to really do it by about 2015. It took me years to kind of be able to run the gamut of emotions for you in the audience. But yeah, so I just think come and have some fun. It's sing along, lead with a what would Celine do or what would Cher do badge, and your card for the monks. And yeah, I just am loving being Canada's amazing. I love it. I love you guys. You're incredibly supportive and wonderful.
That was
first time in Calgary.
I was literally going to ask you, like, what do you love about like touring Canada? Like, it's you seem to enjoy it.
I did 2 months last year, and it's paying because London's gorgeous in the summer.
Yeah.
Finally get some sunshine, and then I'm here to them. The people are amazing. The Fringe whole thing of that is really amazing and supportive, and the audience coming out. Certainly Winnipeg and Edmonton I did last year for the first time, but it's just amazing meeting people and the artists. And also you have a beautiful country. Like last year I visited Niagara Falls for the first time. Last year in Winnipeg, I went to see. I had a tour. I went for a tall grass prairie botanist walk. I went to Sioux Falls. Last year, instead of doing Calgary, I did Saskatoon. So that's why I'm coming to Calgary for the first time ever because I really want to see the mountains. I've heard it's beautiful.
You're gonna be so. It's people when I have friends who visit and other artists and people like. There's something about like just looking and being able to see the mountains in a downtown like busy place like and they're just so amazing.
I can't. Calgary's. I mean, I love Saskatoon. I wouldn't go back, but the dates clashed with Calgary, and I went, no, I'm gonna let me do Calgary this time, and I want to experience it and go on some mountain hike. And apparently, there's Lake Louise, is it? Or something? Yeah. So I'm properly going to be running around and just having. Yeah, I just think I feel like last year I ran away and doing the circus, and I've done like 6 weeks touring in Australia. I've done like Edinburgh Fringe, it's 4.5 weeks of incredible hard work. I know you do 2 shows a day there, but it's different to here where you have to every 2 weeks you're on the plane, traveling with a merry band of artists.
Yeah,
all their own weird stories, and various this show can be because that's the other thing. You never know if your show's going to be a success or not. That's the interesting thing. This is my first new show I've written since COVID. The old show works. I could keep touring it, but I went, no, let me do what I say I'm going to do on the tin. Let me go and step out on the bigger, because I chant. I'm a Buddhist. I chant Namyo Renge-kyo, and I always say the reason I chant is it allows me to try and surf over bigger waves. It doesn't mean it's not still pretty rocky, but it just gives me a faith that somehow I'll turn it around. Especially when, like 2 months ago, I'm like, oh my goodness, I've got like showing 1,000 pieces here. What is this show?
Yeah.
Literally. And the bits I loved. So I did some clowning. I do some clowning, not in the show, but I did some clown workshops and came up with some lovely ideas. And I went, I can't fit them in the show. Like you just have to, what's it called? Kill some of your darling.
Yeah.
Kills you. So but by the time I get to Calgary, because I'm about to 2 weeks in, I've got 3 more shows here and then 2 weeks in Winnipeg, I can guarantee I've shifted it again.
Yeah.
Who knows what the final
You show up and, well, okay, we're doing Whitney and Adele.
Well, I know. I was thinking there are more divine divas to be had.
There are.
I'm kind of eyeing up Dolly. I'm thinking Dolly and Taylor or Dolly and Kylie for the next
Oh,
round
that'd be good.
because, right, I think there's definitely a premise here. But shall I get my Omnicord out? You can hear it.
Yeah, yeah. As we start to wrap up, let's hear this.
Yeah. So obviously I can send you a photo of it if you want to put it in the.
Oh
I don't know
yeah.
how you.
Yes, please send me a photo so we can share this on Instagram. That's
It looks
amazing.
bonkers.
I just like that thing looks ridiculous. Like I just like
It's ridiculous.
there's so many buttons. Like I,
And I understand about two of them.
yeah.
Literally, I've got two today. Yeah, it's ridiculous because you can strum it, you can play it like a piano. It has weird things I can't work out. It randomly does things I've got no clue. All of the preset sounds are terrible. Like apart from one,
Yeah.
because it's an 80s instrument and they stopped making them. Like I think most theatre makers you'll find we're quite obsessive. Whatever we do, we get obsessive, right? It's like I think it's quite a common theme. You feel like like as an actor, you need to know everything about the period and the time and the politics. And so they stopped making these in 1992, and they started remaking them in 2024. But they kept all the really dodgy old drum sounds from the 80s. I've got no idea why, because they're terrible. Some of them are proper. You're like. I do a gig in London on a Tuesday when I'm there, and I've started taking this thing, and I'm always like running a quiz, and it's a bit of cabaret, and I literally have started using it in between the questions as like some kind of dodgy 70s pub landlord. It's really, but it's quite joyous. But you can actually put drum loops in, but this is an original 1980s one, so the tech has died.
Wow.
But I'm in love with it,
Yeah.
and I'm getting better at it. But it's definitely interesting. It's like, why are you doing that?
I think this is reason enough for people to go see this show. Like it sounds incredible. Like I said, I'm excited to watch it. I think Calgary audiences are gonna love it. But I think if they've been listening to this entire podcast and they're still uncertain, I think just the idea of seeing this instrument live is enough for them.
Yeah. Come and see me in Calgary and tell me you've heard the podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, I'm looking forward to the whole tour, but it's going to be lovely. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time as you're, touring around and prepping this show to chat with me today. It was such a pleasure to chat with you. Thank you so much, Marysia. Tickets are available for all the Fringe shows. Calgary Fringe Fest runs July 31st to August 8th. Go check out some shows. These are fantastic entertainers. And as we mentioned, this is something that she put on herself. You can find her Instagram online for more information. It's her first and last name, Marysia, Marysia Trembecka, Trembecka. Of course, I'm going to have all the links on my socials. So go and give her a follow and check out her show if you're here in Calgary. And check out the full Calgary Fringe Fest lineup. It is out now. Tickets available for shows. They are different venues all over Calgary, specifically in Inglewood area. So I would say if you see a show and you're interested in it, get the tickets right away because they can sell out and they will sell out. So if you're looking for something fun to do, that's a great time. And there's a bunch of shows. Some are kid friendly as well. If you're wanting more adult date night, that's a way you can do it. But there's a lot of great things to check out at the Calgary Fringe Fest. Make sure to follow me on social media at PTW Craig, Passing Time with Craig on Facebook and Instagram for all the fun ways to pass the time. Otherwise, we'll chat soon. Bye.